Hi, this is Dave Rudin, and welcome to this week's special episode of FCIAC Football Weekly. We are coming to you both from Darien and New Canaan High Schools, and we would like to thank our sponsors, Blue Streak Sports Training, Carl Chevrolet, and Innovative Health and Rehabilitation. There's concern among FCIAC officials and coaches that Thursday's 49th Annual League Championship might be the end of a long tradition. If so, the series is going out with a bang, as Darien and New Canaan will meet at Boyle Stadium, a reprisal of the 2008 game. New Canaan is 9-0 and ranked number 2 in the state. Darien is 10-0 and number 3. We're here for our special FCIAC football preview show, and leading off, we have two New Canaan captains who are no strangers, Zach Allen and Alex LaPolice. Zach, Darien again at Boyle Stadium. This is what you play football for.
Yeah, it's really exciting. I mean, you just being raised in this town, you've always been raised. It's just always been exciting to play against Darien, and especially just the history of it, like 2008 playing there, and last year, and we're just really excited to play such a great team.
What are the storylines like for the players? The media, we have all our storylines. Darien, New Canaan, you don't have to hype it up. You lost to them last year on Thanksgiving, which ruined your perfect season, but you beat them in the state championship game. What are the storylines for the players outside of the obvious that you want to win?
Yeah, I mean, it's really similar to the media. I mean, we know each other because we just grown up, so everybody has their own little personal rivalries with each other. But I mean, besides that, I mean, it's like another game. It's a business trip for us, and we're just really excited just to play them, especially for the FCIAC championship, and also in such a great atmosphere like Boyle Stadium. We
were talking a little bit before about the rivalry, and you said that you hate Darien and Darien hates you with, maybe we'll put exclamation points or maybe we'll put quotation marks there, but explain what you meant by that, because you had an interesting take on what you meant.
Yeah, I mean, you just being raised in both towns. I mean, you were raised to hate them. I mean, you've grown up playing football against them since 4th grade, and I mean, even the youth games were just nasty games, rivalries, and I mean, just because the two towns are so similar, I mean, it's kind of just trying to prove who has supremacy in the FCIAC, and to do our senior year like this is just awesome.
Alex, last time we did this was in the snow, and you were the most valuable player. You excited to head back to Boyle and play Darien?
I can't wait. It's going to be a ton of fun. Like Zach said, it's a huge rivalry, Darien, New Canaan. We've been dreaming about this our whole lives, and to get another shot at it for a championship is awesome. And I think the Darien New Canaan part speaks for itself. I don't think any stuff needs to be added on or any added motivation. It's Darien New Canaan for an FCIAC championship. I think that in itself is really exciting.
What about what is it going to come down to? We have all the different storylines and stuff. You play on both sides of the ball. What are the keys to the game?
Yeah, I think both teams are really well-rounded. I think their front seven's really, really good defensively. So are their DBs. So I think if we can kind of slow them down a little bit and give our offense an ability to play fast and put some points on the board, I think we'll put ourselves in a good position to compete and just give an opportunity for ourselves to win the game at the end of the day.
I don't know if this has meant anything really to the players, but this is probably the way things are set up, going to be the last FCIAC championship game. Is that something you guys are really aware of, and does that have any meaning or significance to the players?
We didn't really find out. We were kind of started talking about it the first time today because we saw an article, I think you wrote about it, about how this might be the last one ever, and we were saying let's go out on a good note, right? Last FCIAC championship, we did it last year. Why not finish it off with 2 FCIAC championships to kind of end the FCIAC championship forever? I think it'd be pretty cool, but they're a great team and it's a huge challenge, so it's going to be a great game.
That doesn't get any better for a last one. Darien, New Canaan, Boyle Stadium. It should be a great game.
Yeah.
Zach, Alex, wish you the best of luck, and I'm
you.
sure it's going to be a good show.
Yeah. Thanks.
we're back, and now joining me are a couple of the Darien captains, Tim Lochtefeld and George Reed. Tim, 10-0 right now. You guys were hyped up at the beginning of the season. You have to be very proud that you've lived up to expectations so far.
Of course. It's been a great run so far. I mean, we've really come together as a team throughout the season, and we've only gotten better and we've only progressed through our practices, and I'm really looking forward to the game this Thursday. I mean, I've looked forward to it ever since I was a middle schooler in Pee Wee football in the DJFL. I mean, any kid could look forward to a game this big. I mean, I went to the game in 2008 and 10,000 people, the atmosphere couldn't have been better, and just really looking forward to this game.
That's something. Yeah. That's something you guys just dream about when you're growing up around here. Just playing New Canaan #1, and to have it where you may have 10,000 people again on Thursday. That's just something, you know, you lay in bed hoping it'll be you someday.
Yeah, I mean, you look at like the big schools in New Jersey and Texas, and you're like, football's big there, but like little do they know football's huge in Connecticut, and this game is so big, and this rivalry has been going for so long. It's just so exciting, and it's a great opportunity to play two huge teams going head to head. It's awesome.
What's been the key to the defense? Everybody's been talking about the defensive line, and rightfully so, but the linebackers and secondary have done a pretty good job too. You guys don't get a lot of attention. What has made the defense so successful?
Yeah, I mean, most of the season linebackers haven't actually gotten that much love because, as you know, we have the biggest and baddest D-line in the state, and they've pretty much gotten the job done for the most part, and linebackers have gone in and cleaned up all the garbage, I guess. So, and our secondary's been doing a tremendous job covering the pass, and yeah, it's been great, and we really fought as one rather than individual players.
George, you have maybe the most talked about knee in Connecticut right now. First of all, what's your status for the game? We've been hearing all sorts of different things.
Yeah, so last week after the injury in the North Haven game, I wasn't really sure where I was. And then, you know, I started doing some work with our trainer, John, trying to work on the swelling, trying to break it down a little bit, you know, get a little more movement in the knee, and I definitely have done that. You know, it feels good. Not much pain when I walk at all. So I think I'm going to try to strap it up early this week, get out there a little bit, and we'll see how it goes.
Okay, assuming you're out there, and even if you're not out there, we hope you are. A lot of people are saying the key to this game is how the defensive line is going to match up against New Canaan's offensive line. What do you see as being the keys to your unit being successful against theirs?
Yeah, well, you know, one of the things we talk about, you know, that matchup, our D-line versus their O-line, is the experience. You know, we have a lot of guys that have played a lot in Darien High School, you know, 3-year guys been playing the whole time here in varsity. So I think that experience is what really is going to help us, you know, get us that edge. Whereas some other guys are first-year starters and, you know, newer to the system. So I think that we can use that experience to really, you know the play before it happens, and I guess just have a solid all-around game.
What's it like when you're on this kind of a defensive line where, you know, you got Ivanchik on the other side, so they can't key on one person? Your defensive tackles don't get any attention, and they've been so important to the team's success. But what's it like when you can just sort of apply that kind of pressure and kind of just be able to go free?
Yeah, well, I mean, that's exactly what it is. I mean, the big jacks inside, Jack Griffiths and Jack Tyrell, they eat up double teams. You know, they make plays. And what they do is they force guys to respect, you know, both sides. So we're not weak up the middle, we're not weak on the edges. So there's nothing they can do to take out any one of us. Because, you know, you put two guys on Mark Ivanchik, you leave, you know, Jack Tyrell open, you know, that kind of an idea. So I think it's all matchups, and since we have 4 guys that can really get after it, it's a lot of fun playing on this kind of a D-line.
New Canaan, Darien, FCIAC championship game, Boyle Stadium. What's it all mean to you?
I mean, you know, the two things right there, Darien, New Canaan. That's what it means to me. I mean, it's a rivalry. It's what I grew up doing. It's pretty much what defines, you know, me as a person and us as a team is New Canaan. You know, every year we go over there and we have the finale with them, and it's always the best game. It's always the most important game, no matter what it is. You know, whether or not there's a championship on the line, and in this case there is. So that just adds more incentive to go out there and beat those guys. You know, for our town, for our team.
Congratulations also on last week committing to Union College, my alma mater. So we know you're going to get a good education, and you're already a smart guy.
Yeah, thank you.
And Tim, George, wish you the best of luck. It's going to be a great game, and wish you the best.
Thanks, appreciate it.
back, and joining me right now is New Canaan coach Lou Marinelli. Lou, before we talk a little bit about the game, 49th FCIAC championship game, right now we don't know what's going to happen with the future of the game. What has the game meant to you? You've been around for a long time, you've played in it, you've watched them, the tradition, what is it all about? Because I don't think some people outside the FCIAC area understand why people don't want.
Right. Well, originally they had the state championship was the top 2 teams, and it was based on points and things like that, and only 2 teams in I think it was 6 divisions at the time. So it was only 12 teams in the state that could get there. So the FCIAC championship for the Fairfield County, for the FCIAC, was really the game that you wanted to be in. And, the older coaches like myself really want that to be our, always wanted to be that, to be the game that you wanted to be in. So it was always what we shot for, because you always had a better chance to get there than you did the state. So I think for a long period of time, until they expanded the state playoffs to 32 teams, that was the game that we all wanted to be in. But now more of our schools have a chance to get into the state. So it's kind of, and then when they moved it from Boyle Stadium, they should never move it from Boyle. I mean, that was the tradition to go down there, and there's something special, still magical about being there on the championship day, Boyle Stadium. And that's the way it was in the beginning. I think once they started to move it, even last year when we went up to Trumbull, not a lot of people from down here are going to make that ride on a Friday night.
Not the same atmosphere.
No, it's not the same atmosphere. And there's just something about Boyle. When we played in the snow last year against Darien, it was like a dream, or a magical tour. It was just unbelievable. It's something those kids will remember. I know I'll remember it for the rest of our life.
Well, now we're going back to Boyle, 11 months. I don't know if it's going to snow or not, but it's Darien again. It's got to be exciting. This is the biggest rivalry in the FCIAC right now. Boyle's the most venerable stadium. This is what high school football is all about.
I think so, and I mean, we have such tremendous respect for Darien, their coaching staff, their kids. I mean, we've watched them, and some of their kids have had, career days against us. Some of our kids have played well against them. It's really what high school football is all about. We got 2 very proud communities neighboring, and on that one day everybody wants to win. But when you look at those kids and you look at our kids, I mean, they're very similar communities, and it's such an intense rivalry. It's great. It's really what high school football should be all about.
It's not hard to motivate your kids for a game like this. They ruined your perfect season last year on Thanksgiving. Is that anything that's being used as motivation, blackboard material for your kids, or is that kind of been put away?
I don't think. I mean, I haven't even, I kind of forgot about that. The way I looked at it last year was if they hadn't beaten us, maybe we wouldn't have been state champions. So, I mean, if we had to lose to them, that was the time to lose. But, it's a new year, and, hardly any of maybe about 4 or 5 of my kids played in that game, were starters in that game from last year. So it's a whole new group, and they have a bunch of new kids too. So, we're more focused on this year than last year.
What are the keys to the game? I mean, break it down for us.
I think that that up front they have some tremendous players between George Reed, Ivanchek, and the guys up front whose names I don't know. I know their numbers, but they're very big. They're physical. Defensively, they run to the ball. They have great people in the secondary that really react well. Offensively, their quarterback has really come a long way. He's done a great job. Our 2 quarterbacks are very similar. So, I mean, it really matches up to be, it looks like a great game. 2 similar teams, and I think it's going to come down to, penalties. If we can avoid the penalties and we can avoid the turnovers, I think, that we could have a good chance. But I think it's the same thing for them. I think they're so even, it's hard to say. That's why we're just trying to get everybody ready and in place and try to play our best game, because we're going to need to.
You have to be real happy with where your team is right now. Everybody, at least the media, outsiders, were saying with everybody you lost last year, this was going to be a team that was still going to be strong. It's New Canaan, but maybe taking a step down, and here you are sitting unbeaten again. You got to be real proud of where you are right now?
I think our seniors have done a tremendous job with the leadership. And, going in, you never know who's going to step up and who's not. But the guys that were supposed to step up really have, and they've played well. And I think my leadership has been tremendous. And, I think that, we took it one game at a time, it's been tremendous. I mean, our skilled kids have gotten better, and I think our team has gotten better. So let's see what happens.
Whether this is the 49th, whether it's a 50th or not, you can't get any better than Darien and New Canaan on Thanksgiving morning at Boyle. So, Lou, enjoy the moment and best of luck.
Yeah, thank you very much. It's great. It's great. Great opportunity for us.
And we're back, and for our last segment here, we have Darien coach Rob Trafone. Rob, Darien, New Canaan, Boyle Stadium, you don't need to say much more than that. It's got to be an exciting time for you and your players.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, anytime these two, teams play, it's exciting. And when you can combine the FCIAC championship with the, quote, Turkey Bowl, it becomes that much more meaningful.
Couple of big games between teams in the past year. You ruined their perfect season on Thanksgiving. They got you back in the state championship game. Is payback at all an angle in terms of motivating your players for this game?
Well, no, I don't think so. I mean, every year is different. It's interesting because you look back on last year's tape and you see the Miles, Ritter and Silas, and you're like, wow, was that last year or was it 4 years ago? So each year takes on its own life, basically. And, neither team needs any motivation or revenge, okay? They're just going to go out and play their hearts out.
You were so hyped up in the preseason. If you weren't in this position, I guess, people maybe outside the program would have said it's a letdown, maybe inside the program too. You have to be very proud given all the pressure, tough schedule where your team is right now.
Absolutely. And we came out of the gates a little bit slow. Granted, we were able to pull out victories against Hill House and Greenwich, but everyone knows, okay, that we came out a little bit slow. And following the second half of that St. Joe's game, our team has matured and begin to play like I thought they would.
Let's break down the game a little bit. A lot of people think a big key is going to be your defensive line, which has been absolutely magnificent this year, and how they can handle New Canaan's offensive line, which has played better than expected. Do you see it that way, or what keys do you feel are going to be important to the outcome?
Well, I think there's two keys. I think you hit the nail on the head. That's one of them, because any football game is won in the trenches, And I don't care if they're young, in the offensive line, they're always good. They do a tremendous job, and I agree with you. They're playing, much better than expected, and we expect a war, up front. The second key will be our skill kids versus their defense versus their skill kids versus our defense. They are loaded at the skill position, between La Police and Kraus and, Cognetta's plural, right, and Kyle Smith. And, they just keep coming at you with so many, darn skill kids. So, the question is, can we slow them down?
There's talk right now, unless things change, and I know there are things going on behind the scenes, this could be the last FCIAC championship game. You were there with McMahon when you won back-to-back games. You've won championships at Darien. What does the FCIAC championship game tradition mean to you?
Well, to many, it's the biggest game of the year, almost, outshadowing some of the states. Now, obviously, state playoffs are state playoffs, but, the difference is in the FCIAC championship, it's your neighborhood. In the state championship, I mean, you play teams that sometimes you've never heard of. You don't even know where the town is. And that's not to belittle the state championship, because everyone wants to be a state champion, but everyone in this region knows where Darien and New Canaan are. So I don't think you're going to see it go away. I think we're going to figure out a way to preserve it.
Well, Rob, congratulations on a great season so far, and I don't think this game needs to be hyped up anymore, but congratulations again so far, and we wish you the best of luck on Thursday morning and in the state playoffs as well.
Thanks, Dave. I appreciate it.
And that's this week's special episode of FCIAC Football Weekly. Darien, New Canaan, Boyle Stadium, that about says it all. And we will have a highlight package on the site sometime after the game.
To many, it's the biggest game of the year, almost outshadowing some of the states. Now, obviously, state playoffs are state playoffs, but, you know, the difference is in the FCIAC championship, it's your neighborhood.
It's like another game. It's a business trip for us, and we're just really excited just to play them, especially for the FCIAC championship and also in such a great atmosphere like Boyle Stadium.
Have the finale with them, and it's always the best game. It's always the most important game, no matter what it is. So that just adds more incentive to go out there and beat those guys.
When we played in the snow last year against Darien, it was like a dream. It was just unbelievable. It's something those kids will remember. I know I'll remember it for the rest of our life.